Welcome back to the Mental Playbook Podcast. I'm here with Cooper Keane, an opposite hitter for the USC men's volleyball team out here in SoCal, and recently made it to the USA Volleyball U19 team, which is really incredible because I know that gets competitive. Hi,
Yeah.
Cooper. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Um,
Good.
I'm curious to know how you started out in volleyball and really what drew you to that sport specifically.
Yeah, for sure. Growing up, I was actually all baseball my entire life from when I was around 4 years old to, I'd say, freshman year in high school. And volleyball wasn't even in the topic of conversation until my mom introduced me to it. And I had a friend who was joining a club team, and I decided to give it a try. And this is kind of during the whole COVID-19 stage. And this is when I was like big transition in my life. And I decided to give volleyball a try. And I just thought it was the funnest thing ever. And I just took off from there, kind of didn't look back. And then I ended up stopping playing baseball, which was was pretty difficult to do at the time, but I don't regret that decision one bit because volleyball is just the funnest sport ever. I played high school at Miracosta. Um, I was on JV my freshman year, and then after that, I got moved up to varsity my sophomore year at a pretty competitive school. So I was pretty proud of myself for that. And then the recruiting process, I moved from club to club, and then I started getting recruited by USC by Jeff Nygaard, our head coach, and it's kind of my dream school for a while. So it was kind of a no-brainer. And then made the decision to come here, and here I am.
Yeah, it's a dream come true. Could
Yeah.
you share a little bit about how high school volleyball compares to college volleyball?
Oh, it's a whole nother world. High school volleyball, it's more of like a hobby rather than whereas college is, it seems more like a job,
Mm,
but a job that you love to do. So it's not, I'm not saying job is in a bad way, but
yeah.
I'm saying that high school and college is definitely more responsibilities and it's definitely more serious, but high school, the level of play also is just leagues different. It's people who have trained their whole lives to get to this point for college, and then high school, it's really anyone who can make the team. So, um, don't get me wrong, there's definitely a lot of high level volleyball, especially coming from SoCal, which is just a big volleyball hotspot. And the top teams from California are some really high level teams, and a lot of those players ended up at very big D1 colleges. And but I'd say just the main difference between the two is kind of, I don't know, like I wouldn't say the main difference is playing style, but I'd say it's kind of lifestyle.
Mm,
Whereas volleyball in high school is kind of like a second thought as it's school first, volleyball. I mean, if anyone's listening, it's school first still, but volleyball is kind of just a hobby in high school as in college. It's your job.
yeah, it's become like more part of your life.
Yeah.
Has there been any challenges you faced as you were growing as a volleyball player, especially since you didn't first start off with that sport?
Mm. Yeah. Big challenges, I would say, especially our injuries. Those are never fun. You're always out for a few months, not able to play. I broke my wrist playing volleyball once, and that had me out for a few months, which was not fun at all. And it's kind of the hardest thing is finding ways that you can keep playing volleyball through your injury without, hurting it even worse. Um, Other challenges I would say is kind of disappointment or not getting what you want, whereas in like not making a team that you want, not getting the starting spot that you want, and not letting that define you as a player and not letting that hold you down and seeing it more as an opportunity to, or more of like a obstacle to overcome that would make you better in the long run. I should say that's a very big, very important thing. But other challenges. I'd say adaptability is like just being able to, be compatible with multiple people. And I guess because volleyball, you switch, there's substitutions, you play with different people all the time, and being able to adapt to those new people, whether it's a new team, even just a new substitution, new rotation, being able to adapt is kind of just a big, it's an important thing that you need as a volleyball player.
Yeah. Before we continue talking about the preparation for matches, when did you realize that volleyball was, something, a more serious part of your life? Like, was there ever a turning point?
Yeah, trying to think. I'd say my turning point was my sophomore year of high school when I got moved up to varsity and I ended up getting a starting spot my sophomore year on varsity. And I thought that's when I realized I might have some potential in the sport, especially knowing my parents were pretty tall and I had a little growth spurt, so I became uh pretty tall pretty quick. And I knew that would definitely help me excel in the sport. And but my sophomore year, I'd say when I gained a starting spot in varsity was the main turning point, and I knew that volleyball was going to be a big part of my life.
Yeah. So we know a little bit, I guess, how you physically prepare with practice and drills. What is your mental playbook for really preparing for those big matches?
Mentally preparing for big matches, I'd say starts either the day before or a few days before, if you can. It's kind of you need to envision yourself, I believe, in the game before the game actually happens, and you need to envision that bad things are going to happen, and you need to envision how you're going to get over those bad things. Um, Everyone also has their own routine on how they approach matches, and I think sticking to that routine and being really strict about it is very important. And sometimes you'll figure out what your routine's going to be after success and failure. Sometimes you'll do something that doesn't work out, and you don't even know what that is. You have to pick and choose what things work for you. And some people like, I don't know, this is also kind of a physical thing, but I'd say like people like to take like caffeine before big games. And for me personally, I'm not a fan of that because, adrenaline's a thing, and I don't think you need anything else because you're gonna get a little jittery, and that kind of mentally makes you distracted, or for
Yeah.
me, it does. But also, another important thing is finding anchor points. And when things go wrong in the match, finding something or like a little kind of routine that you have to recenter and reset yourself is very important, whether it's just wiping off your shoes, like a little thing like that, um, wiping off your jersey, maybe a little clap or something before every point. Just kind of, it's little things like that that don't seem like they would be very important that actually make a big difference and a big impact in your game. Um, because in volleyball, I don't know what the statistic is exactly, but I think you lose almost half of the points that you win, or I don't know what the statistic is, but you lose a lot of points in volleyball, is what I'm trying to say. And the most important thing is how you can get back from those points and how you can reset.
Yeah.
And I think when you figure out how to do that, then it'll definitely make you a way better player.
Yeah. And so when things don't go your way during a match, how does your mindset change?
I kind of changed my mindset in like a more aggressive approach rather than a defensive approach. Um, when something doesn't go wrong or doesn't go right, I mean, sorry, I kind of view it as an opportunity to, redeem myself, make up for it. I think it's a very important quality to like want to, I don't know, get another chance at, redeeming yourself.
Mhm.
Whereas like if you get set and you get blocked or you make an error, telling your setter, just give me the ball one more time. I'll do it this time. Just give me the ball, please. I think that's a big thing. Um, what else? Um, yeah,
Yeah, and
I
it's
guess
always
that's it.
rewarding when you kind of overcome that mistake and
Yeah,
really
exactly.
come back. Do you have an
Mhm.
example of overcoming a setback, whether it's on or off the court, and how did you push through?
This is this is a pretty funny one. Um, one of our finals matches in a tournament recently in high school, or no, it was club volleyball. I got set a high ball, and in front of a big crowd, I kind of hit the ball on our side of the court. Didn't even, kind of hit it backwards, which is really embarrassing. And that definitely brought me down a little bit, but I kind of just tried to flip a switch in my mind, and I asked my setter, I'm like, just give me the ball, let me try again. I gotta, prove to everybody that it was just a fluke,
Yeah.
and I was just really aggressive and stayed really confident in my mind, didn't let it get to me. And the next point, I got a kill, so and that definitely kind of helped me get back on track, even though it's still hard to kind of forget that one point,
Yeah.
but it definitely just coming back right. Even if your setter, like, he's not gonna set you the next ball just because you made a mistake and you want it again. So you have to, stay solid in your mind, and you have to know that you're gonna get your opportunity and you're gonna get your chance to prove yourself, I guess.
Yeah. And you're always kind of dealing with losses, like you said, losing those points and whether
Yeah.
losing the games and how do you really come back from that, especially as a team, not just yourself?
Um, Kind of leaning on your teammates is a big thing. And I would say volleyball it's known as a game of runs. So I'd say staying patient with your teammates and not getting upset with them in tough times and kind of leaning on each other and staying steady and staying strong, knowing that our run is going to come, our time is going to come is a very important thing. And kind of just having patience and waiting for our turn. And then when we get our opportunity, whether we move into a new rotation that's like our best rotation, their worst rotation, and kind of just jumping on that and making sure we just take off from there. And yeah.
Yeah. And then how do you approach leadership on and off the court, especially being on that team with other leaders as well?
Yeah, I'd say leadership, the most important thing is knowing that there's a difference between leadership and control,
Mhm.
whereas not controlling your teammates and kind of telling them what to do and kind of, I don't know, being like a tyrant and just trying to be that one guy who's shining above the others. It's
Yeah.
more important to be the one anchor, I guess, and kind of the one guy who holds the team together. I'd say a leader is more of it's somebody who doesn't stand out, but it's more of just a glue guy. I'd say that's kind of more of a leader to me, whereas someone who can bring their teammates up while also staying up themselves and showing an example towards the rest of their team. It's not getting down in tough times and bringing your teammates up when they're in tough times, kind of recognizing that. Um, but being a leader is mainly just being there for your teammates rather than just, I don't know, being there for yourself, I'd say.
Right, exactly. Um, so how do you build a relationship and like truly trust with your teammates?
Um, Trust and relationships are kind of something you have to earn, and it's something you have to build throughout your season. You can't really trust your teammate, or I don't know, some people can, but you can't really build trust and build connection with people that you just met. So that's kind of been a little bit of a challenge coming to the school. But I think I'm with the types of guys that are on this team, the people that I'm surrounded by, it's not too hard of a challenge. But I'd say to build relationships is kind of just taking that leap of faith and having trust in your teammates, whether it's you get set and it's not really your type of set and you want to recycle, you got to have trust in your teammates that they're going to back you up and they're going to play that recycle and you're going to get you another chance. But I'd say taking that leap of faith is kind of a big deal because it also shows your teammates that you're willing and you trust them, which kind of trust is a reciprocal thing. And yeah.
Yeah. And has there ever been like a challenge with a teammate or even a coach?
Oh, of course. I've had some tough times with some players and some coaches in the past, but I'd say just having communication and talking to them about it, kind of maybe being the bigger person is just is important. I've never had a bad coach in all my years of playing volleyball, but I've definitely had my some low times, some times where I won't agree with the coach or I won't agree with a player. And I'd say taking a step back and kind of seeing something from their perspective is pretty important. But yeah, I remember I've gotten some arguments with some players on the court, and it definitely affected our play throughout the rest of the game. But that's kind of a that's kind of a hard question. That's I don't know how you'd come back from that. I guess it's different for every person, you
Right.
know.
Yeah, definitely. Have you learned anything surprising about leading a team, especially being on the U19 team?
Wait, say what?
Have you learned anything surprising about leading a team and really getting involved in leadership and teamwork, especially under pressure, like being on the U19 team?
Yes. I'd say one surprising thing is when you try to be a leader, there's always going to be some backfire. There's going to be some others that are going to try to compete with you for that, I guess, leadership role, and they're going to try to outshine you, which isn't even qualities of a leader. So yeah, I'd say that, like the most surprising thing is just knowing that there's going to be some people who aren't really going to be on the same page as you,
Yeah,
and not getting upset by that is very important. And kind of, you know, adapting to how they play. Like some players you'll notice don't like to be I don't know, they don't like to celebrate too much when they win points. They kind of like to, stay calm throughout the whole match. And some people might see that as a negative thing, and they might see that as they're being negative and they're not kind of being there to bring up the team. But I'd say like a strong leader will recognize that and see that's just kind of how that person likes to play and how that person likes to deal with things. And not trying to change that person, I guess is very important. Trying to just build off of what their strengths are is the big deal.
yeah, that's really difficult wanting to like change a person and kind of take control of that. Um,
Yeah.
so who
Yeah.
has been the biggest influence or leader in your life and volleyball career?
My mom, for sure. She played professional volleyball when she was younger. Um, and she introduced me to the sport, and she's been my just the volleyball mom throughout my whole life. She's paid for every little bit of volleyball that I've ever played. She's got me my private lessons, and she's been my guiding light. She gives me lots of good advice on volleyball, especially coming from her background. It's not even about the volleyball aspect too. It's kind of just like the mental side. Um, but yeah, I'd say my mom's just my biggest influence.
Yeah, that's nice to have her support and also her experience. So
Hmm.
are there any routines or habits, whether it's pregame or daily, that help you perform at your best?
Hmm. Um, I'd say I'll just start with a few days leading up is just having a healthy diet and eating not, bad foods. Just it's pretty simple. Just eat good a few days leading up to it. Getting good night's sleep is major deal, super important. Um, I'd say leading up to a game, getting a really good warm up and making sure you're ready to go for the game. Even if you're not going to be playing and you're on the bench, being ready to go because you might get subbed in at any time is a super important thing. Um, and stretching for volleyball is important, though it might seem like not such big of a deal. Your best ability is your availability. That's definitely just like something I live by, or not live by, but I'd say that's a really important motto because I don't know, just being ready to go at all times. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, because you never know.
Yeah.
So how do you balance volleyball with life outside it, especially like academics and being a first year at USC? There's a lot of pressure on that as well.
Yeah, I'd say it was definitely pretty difficult coming to the school. and transitioning into college after high school, or especially after summer.
Hmm.
Um, the 4 hour training block that we have, it's kind of the smack dab in the middle of the day. It's 11 to 3. And it kind of takes away from a lot of time that you could be using to like study or other stuff. So I guess I don't know, finding that balance is just really important, whether it's, setting certain times in your day to study and setting certain times in your day to have fun, because fun is also something you want to incorporate in that balance, because all work and no play is kind of just, you're not going to want to continue this lifestyle. So what's the point, really? Um, but I'd say, yeah, Uh, managing your time is just like the hardest thing when it comes to being an athlete and being a student. But I'd say um, it's gotten easier, especially with all the support I have at the school and all the tutors that they get me for free, which is just super, super nice. But yeah, just managing your time is something that you learn to do and something you get used to. And I'd say that's pretty important. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a big thing for me too, is yeah,
Mhm.
managing time and prioritizing a lot. Do you
Yeah.
have a favorite drill or practice that really helps to improve your game?
Ooh, favorite drill. Um, I kind of like just like 5-on-5 pepper, which is just it's a really good warm up, I believe. We do that a lot at the school, and it's kind of just five guys in the court, just setting high balls to each other, because it works every aspect of the game, your defense, your setting, and your hitting, and kind of placing the ball to where you want to place it. And I'd say that's just really because it also works on communication as well. Who's going to set the ball? Because a lot of drills are kind of mainly just like, you have your setter and that person's going to set the ball. So I guess when anyone can set it, it definitely helps out a lot, because it helps build communication early in the day, and getting your voices warm, I guess, too. So it's getting every aspect that you might need in the game, you know.
Yeah, and then as an opposite hitter, do you have to prepare differently than the other roles and positions?
As not, I wouldn't say so. I'd say actually, yeah, definitely. I mean, the physical part is I have to, hit on the right side when I warm up, but I'd say like the general warm up is pretty much the same for an oppo as it is every other position. But I'd say certain things that are different are kind of mentally knowing that you're going up against their outside hitter,
Mhm.
which is typically known as like their best player. They're more the kind of like a generalist, because they do everything. But so knowing that you're going up against that person, and also the statistic is you get kills more than you get blocked typically, which is so when you're blocking like an outside or something, you got to know that it's not going to go your way most of the time. So you kind of can't be turned down by that. Um I'd say another thing that's different for oppos is kind of I'm not really sure, but kind of just being ready to step in, because opposites, even though they're not known as passers, sometimes you do four-man passing. So, you still got to warm up your platform, even though you might not use it in a game, but just being ready for that,
Yeah, and do
you
you have
know?
any goals or skills that you're currently trying to work on?
Yeah, I'm trying to work on my in-system hitting. I just got, my stats from the last few tournaments yesterday and or 2 days ago. And I'd say that's like my worst statistic. I'd say my high ball hitting is pretty swell. I hit 600 at the Hawaii at the UCLA tournament, which is pretty good for out of system, I think. And my in system though was not too great. It was definitely under 100, which is not great. So I'm working on that. Working on also, I played outside for my life, or like for the last 3 years, I guess. And on the right side, I gotta work on doing my approach block, which is kind of I've been just doing static block, and I'm just going straight up and down throughout. my career as an oppo, and I'm trying to work on getting more power when I go to block that outside.
Yeah, changing that approach. So,
Mhm.
how are you preparing for the upcoming season, and when does that start for men's college volleyball?
It starts in January, so I'm getting ready for that right now. By kind of we're having a break from from practices now. We had our last practice on Friday, and now we're gonna have like around a month off with no volleyball. So I'm trying to prepare myself by just staying fit and getting my cardio in the best way I can by also not getting injured and continuing to hit the weight room and not letting myself fall behind. Because for Thanksgiving break, it was only a week off, and everybody could already tell they came back and was just sore right away from the first workout, which is just not it. Um, so yeah, just staying on top of things, I guess, is kind of how I'm going to prepare for the season to start. And I'm gonna try and kind of, maybe not put on any pounds, so I'm not too heavy during the season, so I can be a little fast and nimble on the court.
Yes. And then outside of volleyball, what's something you're passionate about or something that motivates you?
Outside of volleyball, I'd say what motivates me is kind of just like friendships, I guess, kind of building new connections with new people and seeing what people are going to be present in my life. And um, I'm a big people person, I'd say. So I guess just going out and meeting new people is a really, really big part of my life. Um, Making new friends at the school. Being on a volleyball team is definitely it helps with that because you're already connected with 22 guys, I think it is. I'm not really sure what a roster it is, but you're already connected with this big group of guys. And from there you branch out, meet new people and all this stuff. But I'd say yeah, other than volleyball, my main kind of the one thing I'm trying to do is just meet new people, outside of volleyball.
And do you feel like you have like time to do that?
Yeah, for sure. Um, Volleyball, kind of our schedule being right in the middle of the day is we still have our night times to, hang out with people. Um, I've made a lot of friends with like people on other sports teams and getting to hang out with them at the later times in the day is super great. This school is just the greatest because it just has a balance between, academics, athletics, and just social life. So there's a lot of opportunities for me to go out and meet people at this school. And I definitely say some nights it's challenging, but other nights I definitely have a lot of time.
Yeah, no, that's great. What is one lesson volleyball has taught you that goes beyond the sport?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I said this already, but volleyball has definitely taught me to be it's taught me adaptability and compatibility and kind of, being ready for whatever life throws at you and kind of learning to push past difficult times, difficult challenges, and kind of learn to adapt to new people that are going to be introduced in your life. Um, yeah, what else? It's taught me teamwork skills. It's taught me how to cooperate with other people and how to see things from other people's perspectives and how to work with a group of people that are different from you.
Yeah. Can I ask what the Live Like Braun is in the back of your room?
Oh yeah, yeah. That was one of my really good friends from high school. He passed away, unfortunately, I'd say 7 months ago, 6 months ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Um, yeah, but live like Bron's kind of just a motto that all of our friends live by. Just live like he did, which kind of just like live with a smile and be the shining light in other people's lives.
Yeah, I'm
So
sure
yeah,
it's really hard to cope with that loss. Um,
yeah.
if you could give advice to young athletes who are wanting to kind of follow your path, what would it be?
I'd say just staying steady in your mind and having a solid goal set, and also knowing that that goal might not happen,
Right.
and also being able to shape new goals. Because when you set a goal, um, it's definitely not uncommon to change that goal later on in your future. And especially if you set that goal far enough, there's going to be different things that are going to happen in your life, and that goal definitely might change for you, and
Hmm.
that goal that you made might fade. And I'd say just I don't know, having fun, it's a big deal because if you're not having fun with the sport you're playing, then why are you going to want to play it in the future? So, what's the point in having a goal of playing the sport in the future if it's not going to be any fun for you? Because you might as well just find something else that makes you happy.
Yeah. And then is volleyball going to be something that you'll continue beyond college, or are you still figuring that out?
Yes, it will be. I'm not really sure if I'm going to play competitive volleyball, like professional overseas or something like that. But I know for a fact volleyball is going to be a big part of my life because in Hermosa Beach, Manhattan Beach, the SoCal, just in general, volleyball is just everywhere. It's everywhere you go. I'd say those towns, especially, a lot of people play volleyball, and it's kind of just like a tight-knit community of volleyball players. And being able to just go down to the beach and meet new people, make new friends, and play volleyball is kind of just like a really great thing to just have in your life.
Yeah.
Um, I've met most of the people in my life through volleyball, I'd say, or not most of the people, but I'd say I've met a good chunk of
Yeah.
people from volleyball, and I think I'm going to continue to play throughout the rest of my life with just friends, at the beach, whenever. I think it's just going to be a hobby that I can do for the rest of my life. Yeah.
Yeah. And being near the beach, do you play beach volleyball?
I do, yeah. But in college, there's not really a guys beach
Yeah.
volleyball just yet. I think there's a few schools that are actually starting to do that.
Yeah, I know
But
it's a growing sport, but I was surprised because I know
yeah,
we have our women's, but yeah.
yeah, I am me too. But yeah, I don't know why that is. I feel like it'd be pretty cool. But yeah, I've played beach volleyball for I think longer than I've played indoor volleyball. Um, Even though I'm not like a consistent beach volleyball player. I'd say volleyball indoor is kind of taken over. But I've played in a lot of tournaments at the beach. I play with my friends all the time. Can't name how many times we've gone down the beach and played volleyball over summer. But it's just such a fun thing to do, get out in the sun on the beach, get some sand in between your toes, and just play like a sport that you love to do. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool that there is that different environments, the indoor and then the beach.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Where do you see yourself growing these next few years, especially as you're now starting your college season?
Um, I I'm not really sure where I'm gonna grow, but I'm really excited to see where I do grow. Um, our coach has said many times that he's not just building players, but he's building men, which I think is really cool. He's teaching us life skills that we're gonna take outside of volleyball. So I'm kind of excited to see how I'm gonna grow as a person rather than just as a player.
Yeah.
Um, the volleyball side, though, I think I'm definitely excited to see if I get bigger, stronger, faster. Um, we're putting in a lot of work in the weight room, and we're doing a lot of, preparation to get us ready for the season. And I think, um, yeah, I'm just curious. I'm excited to see what happens in the future.
Yeah. And then how do you want to be remembered as a teammate and an athlete and just a person, like with your legacy?
Yeah, that's a good question. I want to be remembered as the type of guy who didn't really get down in down situations, and the type of guy who was always there for his teammates, and the type of guy who was just ready to go for anything, and the type of guy who didn't hound on his teammates for making an error, or the type of guy who didn't just get upset in tough situations, but I want to be seen as someone who's like always positive.
Yeah, no, that's really important. So my last question for you, I always ask this to all of my guests, is what
Mhm.
matters most to you, the destination, the journey, or the company, and why?
Mm, that's a really good question. I'd say the company is the most important because a journey isn't a good journey if it's not with good company,
Mm.
and a destination isn't really worth it if it's not a good journey. So I'd say, you know, a destination is only as good as the journey, and a journey is only as good as the company. So I'd say, yeah, company is definitely the most important.
Yeah, I really like that. And that really shows with your responses. Well,
Mhm.
thank you so much, Cooper, for joining me. To
Thank
my
you.
listeners, mind strong, game on.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.